Next presentation, we are winding down. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we have just a few presentations left, and I see him backstage right now. We're going to be welcoming on Daniel Kim. He is VP of Corporate Development at Siyata Mobile. It's ticker SYTA. What's going on, Daniel? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Brent. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. I'll let you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to presentation on Siyata Mobile. I'll jump right into it. This is direct you to our standard disclaimer page. So Siyata Mobile is roughly a $50 million market cap company, give or take. We are a hardware provider. What we provide are cellular communication systems in very specific market and segments. I'm going to show you our devices. They look like smartphones, but they are engineered to be quite different, and they are designed to replace a very specific end market called land mobile radio. And that's the primary technology used by first responders, fire, police, and ambulance, but also now by a growing number of enterprise customers. If you look at our website, you'll see that our products are marketed under the Uniden brand name. When we came into the North American market, of course, Siyata is a relatively small, being a small company, we did not have any brand recognition. So we licensed that name as Uniden is a globally recognized name. We were founded in Israel. Our R&D continues to be there. Officially, we are a Canadian company headquartered in Canada, but we are only listed on the NASDAQ, and we are pretty much a virtual company, excuse me. Our CEO continues to be in Israel. We have a number of salesmen located globally. Myself, I'm in Toronto, and we have our accounting office in Montreal. So now I'll identify the problem that in the market segment that we are going after, and I'll describe the solutions and the disruptive products that we have to displace what we believe will be a pretty dramatically growing market. If we look at what is the current solution, if you look at fire, police, and ambulance, and you see the microphones on the shoulders of police, that is typically what's called land mobile radio, or LMR. It's a radio technology no different than you would use for AM/FM radio, where you would put up a tower, pump up a bunch of electricity, and the RF signals will spray to a certain circumference. And it works well enough for one-to-one and one-to-many voice communication. But the problem is, once you move outside of a defined perimeter, you'll lose that signal, much like you do when you're driving and you're listening to your AM/FM radio. After a certain time, you lose signal. Within the US, there are 10,000 of these networks alone, and they're often incompatible. And the bigger problem is they're often quite expensive to maintain, and they're quite inefficient, really not compatible for any type of high bandwidth communication. So you're really quite limited to simple voice and potentially texting. If you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the picture, that's a typical cabin you would see, again, in first responders or any enterprise vehicle. It's a multitude of different pieces of hardware. Quite expensive. In some, if you look at all those different pieces, roughly $7,000 to $10,000, and you would be typically paying land mobile radio third-party vendor a monthly subscription fee of roughly $30 to $40 per month. So this has been around for roughly 70 years, and it is a very mature and well-understood technology. So what is changing and why this technology is going away was really catalyzed by 9/11. When that event happened, the shortcomings of land mobile radio became really evident. And as a result, the US government stepped in and decided to set up its own separate authority called the First Responder Network Authority to manage communications for first responders. They put this out to tender, and AT&T won this contract back in 2017. So for the last 4 years, they've now built out the required infrastructure to support this network, and they cover more than 99% of the US population. But what's exciting now for companies like ours is the number of subscribers that are now signing on to this network. This number is, in fact, a little bit dated. It shows 2 million FirstNet connections. In fact, it's now 2.2, which is more than doubled year on year. And there's, in fact, 16,000 public safety agencies. We came into the North American market with our flagship device. That's the very bottom point, called the UV350. And it's the first device to address this market segment, and is currently still the only device that is certified FirstNet ready. Now I'll explain the various solutions that we have coming into this marketplace. So on the top, you'll see that's our flagship device. We also have rugged handsets, which we're bringing to North America this year. At the very bottom, we have cellular boosters, and these are all companion devices. They all are 100% complimentary. We sell them through our same end channels and largely to our same customers. So lots of leverage in terms of generating additional sales. And as far as we know, we are the only company, despite our size, to have this breadth of product portfolio. This is our UV350 device. It looks like a smartphone. It acts like a smartphone. It operates on an Android operating system. You can make cellular calls on it, but you can also install what's called push-to-talk over cellular software. And that's the key software that is really used to replicate the features and functions of land mobile radio. You'll see it to the right of that device. It's a remote microphone, so it operates just like you would typically use. So the use case is identical to a land mobile radio user, so there's really not much in terms of training required. The real key here is because it is an Android operating system, you can now download a multitude of applications that would be compatible for first responders, and they're all certified and available on our platform. But it's also very specifically designed to work in a noisy environment. You can take, of course, your smartphone and use it in your vehicle, and it works well enough. But in a commercial vehicle, which is much louder, it really does not work terribly well. So this has been purpose-built. It has additional chipsets to manage noise cancellation and echo cancellation. It has a louder microphone. It is hardwired into your vehicles. It does not have a battery, so it starts up immediately when you fire up your vehicle and then turns off when you leave your vehicle. It is professionally installed, and so it really is an all-in-one device that replaces all the previous pieces of hardware that I showed you on the previous slide. In terms of competition, we have a number of indirect competitors, but really no direct competitors. And we've talked about the smartphone already. The two-way radio or the land mobile radio is right in the middle. And it works well enough for voice communication, but certainly does not support data applications. You'll often see ruggedized tablets as well, but that does not provide any type of cellular calls. And then, of course, you can use a modem, but that requires companion devices. So our device really is quite unique, and it provides a disruptive solution that no one else can really provide on a fulsome basis. Why this is gaining so much interest in the market is for our customers, it provides a dramatic decrease in costs, but also provides a tremendous increase in functionality and safety. In terms of CapEx and OpEx, if you look at the very bottom, we have a great quote here from Fairfax County, which is a test bed for all things FirstNet. And based on their estimates, their county saved more than $16 million in upfront costs, that's CapEx, and $2 million annually, that would be the OpEx number. And so on top of that, when you layer on the amount of cash that you are saving both upfront and annually, and you layer on the additional functionality, safety, and network coverage that our devices provide, it really becomes a pretty easy decision for our customers to move over. The reason why the network coverage, of course, is much broader than land mobile radio, you are now operating on a 4G LTE network, which is nationwide. Our second product category is rugged handsets. Again, these are specifically designed for first responders. So they are ruggedized from the get-go. They have dedicated buttons. They accept, of course, the push-to-talk over cellular software. And these are designed specifically to work with all the various applications that first responders require as well. To date, we've only sold these in international markets. We announced recently a partnership with a third-party software vendor to provide critical software to now deploy this within the North American market. We are talking with all our various carrier partners, and we anticipate that we will be launching this product in the second half of this year. And we think this will be a potential home run for us because it works perfectly with our UV350 as a handoff device. If you can imagine any type of commercial vehicle, typically speaking, head office does like to identify the vehicle, so that is why our device is hardwired into that. But generally speaking, you will have multiple drivers per vehicle, so this is a perfect device for a handoff for all the various people. In terms of competition, on the very high end of the scale, Samsung and Apple, of course, you can take one of their phones and put a rugged skin on it and apply it to this market, but their solutions would be quite expensive and out of reach for many of the workers that require these kinds of solutions. There are other competitors such as Sonam, Kyocera, and Caterpillar. But in terms of how we're coming into the market, relative versus our UV350, which we believe is truly a disruptive solution from the technology portfolio. Our rugged handset, we're coming in as a low-cost disruptor. This is a purpose-built phone that is coming in at a much lower price point, but provides all the functionality required by first responders. And for a market where you are addressing things such as security guards, warehouse workers, and inside airports, any type of enterprise environment, including first responders, they don't need a $1,000 phone, but certainly a $200 phone would be more than adequate and provides all the functionalities that they require. The third product category, which is a companion device that would work with any of our devices, of course, is cellular boosters. In fact, the pandemic is the one area that has benefited our business in 2020. And we enjoyed record sales with our cellular boosters in 2020, and we're expecting that 2021 will continue to show that momentum. We have, roughly speaking, it falls into three buckets. We have boosters that would be installed inside buildings. It could be as small, from your house to large warehouses. We have another device that goes directly in your vehicle, so it can amplify the signals. You put an antenna on your roof, and it would distribute, go from 1 bar to, say, 5 bars, depending on the area. And then we have a third product, which would connect directly to our flagship device. Like our rugged phones, we've historically only sold these on online channels, as you can see on the very bottom there, through Amazon, Costco, Walmart, etc. But because of our relationships with the carriers in the US primarily, or North America, I should say, we've been now expanding our channel reach. And we're now starting to see some significant opportunities in various enterprise markets. So this has been a real boon for us, and we expect that this will continue to drive some additional sales, both for our handsets, our in-vehicle device, and boosters on a standalone basis. This is a market that is quite competitive as well. There are significant players in this market, the biggest being WeBoost. But what we would note here is WeBoost, SureCall, Smooth Talker, they typically only sell their products online and mostly to consumer market. We are leveraging, again, our carrier relationships and then applying our booster technology through those same channels. So we are really focused on the enterprise market. And we think there's lots of opportunity. During the pandemic, as an example, we're seeing numerous enterprise customers now looking for boosted cellular connectivity. As a couple of examples would be restaurants. You no longer receive menus. You're downloading that through a barcode, so you need good connectivity. Wi-Fi would work well enough, but it is a bit clunky, doesn't scale very well, and it's certainly not as secure as a cellular connection. Likewise, for, say, a pharmacy, you walk into the pharmacist and you need to identify yourself and show your script. So boosted cellular signals are a solution that enterprise customers are quickly realizing is a critical technology required for their businesses to operate. We recently announced a small acquisition earlier this year, a company called ClearRF based out of Spokane, Washington. And we announced that we paid $700,000 for this. And the reason why we acquired them, and this is part of our M&A strategy, is we are looking for complementary companies that will be accretive to our business, ideally work through our same channel so we can sell it to our large carrier partners, ultimately to our same end customers. But this company had a very unique technology. It's called a passive bypass technology, which no one else has in the market. And what this essentially does is for their solutions that are connected directly to the end device, say it could be a cellular modem or your cell phone, generally speaking, if you would lose any power to the amplifier, you would then lose the RF signal to the end device, which of course would be a big failure point for first responders. We have now taken this technology and adopted it across our booster portfolio, and we think this could provide some pretty dramatic opportunities for us to continue to gain traction within our core end markets. They do have a US manufacturing footprint, which we think will be of benefit to us as well. We manufacture all of our gear currently with a third-party contract manufacturer overseas, but having now a Made in America stamp for various customers could be very important going forward and opens up new military and government contracts for us as well. The total addressable market for our devices, when we first came into this market, we thought it was only first responders, which that in itself was a pretty significant market. If you look at the very left-hand side, you'll see there's roughly 24, 25 million vehicles that this would be applicable to. And that would be alone roughly $19, $20 billion. But if you look at the other two verticals, coincidentally, they're roughly about the same size. The rugged handset market, the ASPs are lower, but the volumes are significantly higher. And that touches upon so many enterprise verticals that we had not anticipated. We are now deploying and seeing a lot of interest from energy and utility, public safety, construction, logistics, government, you name it. It really becomes quite a broad market. And likewise with our cellular boosters, this is a market that is forecast to double in size over the next 5 years. So lots of growth in each of these core markets.
Hey, Daniel, just want to give you about a 5-minute heads up.
Okay, terrific. Yeah, I'll just wrap this up pretty quickly. And in terms of how we approach the market, we are a small company. We're only 28 people. Even if we were to quadruple in size, we envision only growing by a handful more people. The way we get to market is through our carrier partners. We're now qualified with all the major carriers in North America: AT&T, Verizon, Bell, Rogers. FirstNet is a separate entity that AT&T manages. So we really leverage their dealer network, which reaches the thousands of end customers that they have. Quick look at the financials. We really are going through a pretty significant transition. If you look at the historical numbers, most of our revenues were generated by our legacy business of rugged phones to price competitive markets. So our margins have historically been quite low in the 25% range, 25% gross margin range historically. Fast forward to the first 3 quarters of 2020, we've seen a complete inversion. 4G sales now represent 2/3 of those revenues. And the beauty of that model is, as we continue to transition the balance of our product portfolio into North America, is these 4G product portfolio is carry roughly 40% gross margin. Quick snapshot of our revenues. We haven't reported Q4 numbers as of yet. So this is a little bit stale, but it gives you a sense of how our 3G product portfolio has evolved over time, where we've reached saturation in 2017 in international markets. And then 2018 and 2019 going forward, we were hoping our penetration in North America would happen a little bit faster, but the carrier qualifications took a little bit longer. But the green line indicates the mix of products as North America continues to grow. Over the course of time, our target is to get to 40% gross margin. Reason why we put up this chart as well is we have a long history of both developing hardware, so we know how to manufacture and design it. We know how to integrate it with third-party vendors, and we've been delivering to very happy customers for many years now. Quick snapshot of our capital structure: roughly $50 million market cap. Our enterprise value, likewise, we do have a little, roughly. Pardon me, this is a little bit dated. This is going back to the third quarter because we haven't reported. We do have, we raised $13 million in our IPO back in September, and then another $13 million in private placement in December. So we believe we have sufficient capital to grow our business and continue on our M&A strategy to complement our organic growth with inorganic growth. At the very bottom left-hand corner, you'll see our major shareholders. Roughly 1/3 of our stock is now held by institutions. In terms of key milestones, everything before the 2020 was building the company, getting qualified with carriers and building the channel. Everything that happened in 2020 was building the team. We now have key account managers to manage AT&T, Verizon, and our booster sales, dramatically expanded our distribution and reseller partners. Going forward to 2021 and beyond, we're really laser focused on growing the business to get to profitability. Very proud of the team that we've assembled for a small company that we have. Mark Seelenfreund, our founder and CEO, has decades of experience in the telecom industry. Likewise, across the board for all of our team members in our management team. Likewise for our board, we've reconstituted that just fairly recently. Peter Goldstein was appointed to as our chairman, and each of these board members likewise bring years of experience, which has been incredibly helpful in helping us open doors within the key U.S. markets that we approach. So to conclude, we believe we are an undervalued, unknown story. We are disrupting a massive market. We have been an innovator from the very beginning, and we've continued to rapidly innovate new products. And we believe this is a market that is transitioning very quickly now. This is legacy technology that's being displaced by companies like ours. COVID certainly had a negative impact on our business overall in 2020, but it seems to be abating, and we're starting to see business pick up in 2021. If you look at the last 3 or 4 quarters, last 3 or 4 months of our press releases, both the cadence and the size of our deals have certainly increased. And we believe as that continues, that our high operating leverage will generate significant profits for us, which we are hoping to achieve in the near term. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I think a little congratulations due. It seemed like you and the Siyata team did a as best of job as you could have done over 2020. Obviously, it was a tough year for everybody, but here we are. We made it. It's 2021.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Brenda, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here at your conference.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to get some more information, it's www.siyatamobile.com. That was Daniel Kim. He's VP of Corporate Development at Siyata Mobile. The ticker one more time is SYTA. I hope you have an awesome weekend, sir.
Thank you very much. Likewise to you.